Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, I am so excited for today's I want to call it an episode, but I guess it's maybe not an episode, but today's installment of the Inspired Women Inspire Women series. My name is Melissa Gratz. I don't typically get nervous, and I do this all the time. And today I'm nervous. I am nervous, and I'm not even going to be the one doing the majority of the talking, but I am on with someone who I have watched, I have cheered for, I have used as far as the app, which we'll talk about, for so long. And Instagram is a really beautiful thing. And I will tell you, one of my questions I'm going to ask you in a little bit, so I'm going to kind of give you a heads up is, what's something that's big and scary that you've done in business that you were like, I just have to take a breath and do it? Because for me, my big scary thing recently was sending you that message on Instagram and saying, I'm going out on a limb, but you are someone who you breathe life into me, you breathe life into many other women out there. And our audience, there are a few men that will watch, but we really are talking about women and what it is to be an inspired woman and what it is to inspire women. And that's what we're doing here. And you were someone who, boy, so top of mind for me. You are contagious. You have a contagious enthusiasm. You have the ability to laugh at yourself. You have the ability to bring this life. It comes with you. And
Wow.
so
Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. So I am going to turn it over and say, who are you? Who are you? Tell us who you are, and we'll just go from there.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. So my name is Rhonna Fair, and I know it looks like a lot of people think it's Rhonna Farr, but it's not. So it's the Rhonna Designs app, and that's what we're talking about. And we were just saying that it's been 8 years since we launched it, a little over 8 years. And I am an artist. I am a creator, and I'm also a wife and a mother. When I first started, our kids were little. I mean, I did the whole young mom business thing where they would go into, they'd take their naps or they'd go to bed. And that's when I created. And I learned that I needed to do that on a daily basis. It fed my soul. And so then I started to realize that there are a lot of others out there that felt the same way. And so the art that I was creating, I wanted to share it with others. And like we were saying, when smartphones came out and Instagram became a thing and apps became a thing, I recognized that I would love to be able to decorate, add pizzazz, whatever you want to call it, to photos and to make. At the time, we didn't even know that they were called memes yet. That's so funny. And so we created the Rhonna Designs app, and every month we put new art in and new fonts, and it just continues to grow. So that's me in a nutshell. And I love small business owners. I love women created businesses, and I love to cheer each other on.
Same. And that is my mantra as well. And so that's probably why I have felt drawn to you and have felt connected to you, because I mean, the larger your cheering section, the better. The
Amen.
better.
Yep. Yep.
So, okay, give us just a small window into what the road looked like, because we talked about the app, but I mean, you have the app, the design app, there's the collage app,
Right.
you got the magic app, you are recently an author.
Yep.
So give us just kind of that road really quickly of what led you to today.
Okay. In a nutshell, lots of trial and error and bumps and bruises and triumphs and learning lots of lessons. And it's kind of funny because my Rhonna Designs business actually started about 24 years ago. And I started to create like I said, when my kids were young, I started to create greeting cards and gift wrap. But when I say that, we just talked about this in our book, our Design Your Life book. series. And when I say that that's what I started to do, even leading up to that, I got rejection after rejection. And I questioned myself and I thought, am I doing the right thing? And I mean, some days I just, the inadequacy and the who do I think I am? All of those things that I know we have all felt. And the thing that I've learned with every evolution of my business is to get rid of all of those doubts. Doubts are normal. Doubts are there all the time. But what's even more normal and what I want to feed my soul and feed others with is the optimism and the we can do this. And when somebody tells me, in fact, when I was in high school and I was taking an art class, my art teacher told me I would never amount to being an artist. And I let that phrase right there, that little sentence, just squash my spirit. And something that I learned is those things and those critics will always be there. Mm-hmm. And so as an artist and a creator and a businesswoman, I got to choose, I got to decide, am I going to listen to that? Or am I going to push through and say, you know what? I feel like I need to do this. I feel like this is just in me. It was burning in me, And so just like I said, bumps and bruises in the road and stuff. But eventually I started to recognize that everything was going digital. And so even though my preferred medium in art was watercolor and like I said, like I even was in the scrapbook world where I had scrapbook lines and stickers and all of that stuff, but things were going a digital way. And so do you know how many times I have thought of Kodak? I look back at, I'm old enough to remember the cameras where you push the button and you go and you take you never know what your photo is going to look like, right? And you would go and get them, double prints, or you'd get, the photos and everything. And you really never knew what was going to happen with your photos, but you paid for them and you put them in your scrapbooks and, that's how it went. But then digital photos came out, digital cameras, and Kodak didn't evolve. Now they're going back and you can see them again. But for a while, they kind of, I look at that and I remember being in college and learning about Photoshop. And we had our photography professor talked about this new thing called Photoshop. And in fact, it was like 2.3 or something like that by the time when I learned it. But one of the things that my professor said was, look at the evolution that's happening. And that was something that as a creator, we've got to evolve, right? It's when we hold on to something, actually, I should back up a little bit. Hold on to the things that really matter. And the things that you see, the trends, the evolution, hold on to that as well. And that's kind of how, we are creators, right? We're all creators of our lives. We're all designers of our lives, our businesses, our relationships, everything. And so I think part of just being a human is recognizing when to pivot, how to pivot, what to hold on to, what to let go of. And so, like I said, I turned to digital, and then apps came, and smartphones, apps, Instagram. And so lots of pivots have happened. And when I recognized that Rhonna Designs could grow into a collage basis, we decided to do Rhonna Collage, and then it went to Rhonna Magic, and then you can erase things and you can superimpose and you can do all of this stuff. And then our app started. My whole vision was that they would talk to each other, and you'd be able to be on your phone and do the things that you could do in Photoshop just on your phone. And so then we started to see people create in just these amazing ways. And that was the thing, is once we gave you the tools to work with, then you guys took off and you started to create things, and you were the designer, right? You were the one that was like, oh, I can take this font and I can take these colors and I can take these pieces of art and create memes or flyers or invitations or graphics. Whatever you decided to do, we were the tools in your hands. And so for me, as the creator of the app, it's so fun to connect with people that love the app and that have felt that excitement of designing and creating and really becoming amazing businesswomen. That's really what it boils down to. Is I've been watching these small businesses grow, and what you do is what excites me. So I guess that kind of was a long roadmap, but you know what?
No,
We're still going, right? And it's going to pivot again.
and I love that you bring up pivoting, because I think that there's a lot of times we approach something and we don't know which direction to take it, and we just pull back and stop.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter what the industry is. It doesn't matter what what the thing is, and because we get in our own heads, right? And that little itty bitty icky committee comes in and is like, oh, you can't do this, and this is going to fail, and this is going to bomb, and you're going to look like a fool, and all of that self-doubt comes in. But yet, if we pivot instead of quit,
Yep.
big things can happen.
Exactly.
Well, you have an amazing portfolio. You have an astounding knack for creating. I mean, I can look at a design, and this goes back to, so I've been using your app probably for about 8 years. And this goes back to, I could spot a creation and be like, that's a Rhonna.
Oh,
That's a Rhonna.
that is so fun to hear. Thank you.
It is so it's so apparent. And actually, I'm in the silhouette cameo world, and you are on silhouette, and you're the first artist I always go snag the designs from. And so, I mean, this is really, I'm really kind of throwing myself out there and throwing it in front of you and being like, Rhonna, I love you. I love
you.
but I can look at something and be, so you have such a congruency and a flow in your work, in the tools that you offer, in the design tips that you give. I mean, you guys, if you don't follow Rhonna on Instagram, please. And we will, at the very end of this, I'll give you an opportunity to tell people where to find you. But you just, you breathe life, and you are consistent, and you are such an excellent pillar in the community of women, because you've done it, and it hasn't always looked exactly how you pictured, right? I absolutely loved the part in the book where you said, I was stuffing horns till my fingers bled.
Yes.
And Jeff, your husband, said, what is it that you want to do?
Yep.
And you said, I want to
create my own greeting card line. And I about died when I said that, because I had never put it out there. It was this secret little thing inside my heart that I wanted to do. But again, that little voice was like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are that you could make your own greeting card line? And when he said, then do it, I was like, but how? How do I do this?
Yeah. And I absolutely love that. And you are fortunate to have a spouse that is supportive of any endeavor. He was the one that said to you, then do it. Do it. And I'm fortunate as well. I have a spouse that's very supportive, but a lot of women don't have that. And I think that makes it doubly as difficult to believe in yourself when you don't have that foundational support behind you at home, the place where it's supposed to be, your haven. And I think that plays a part into some of the doubt that women have, and some of that ickiness that comes in. Okay, so let's flip really quickly. Tell me, how is your life different right now than you ever imagined? Right? So you were young, you had 2 babies, they're 16 months apart, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm stuffing horns. How is life today different than what you ever imagined?
You know what? I have learned in the many, many years that I get to choose what my life looks like. That doesn't mean that it's going to always be exactly what I think it's going to. But one of the things that we talk about in our book is finding the beauty in whatever life gives you.
Yeah.
So for instance, right now, all of our kids are in their 20s. And so suddenly my husband and I looked at each other. We're like, wait, we're empty nesters. Like, I know it sounds crazy right now if you're in the throes of all the young kids and everything. it actually comes to an end. And you have 20-year-olds who really don't, I mean, they love you and stuff, but they're forming their lives, you know, and they're designing their lives. And so all of a sudden we looked at each other and our kids were out of the home and we thought, okay, what have we always wanted to do? We always wanted to live in the mountains. And so when the kids were gone, we took a huge leap and we moved up to the mountains about 45 minutes away where we had brought up our family.
Yeah.
And we bought a house that it looked kind of crazy for two of us to buy a house that was bigger than what we, you know, the two of us needed. But our vision was that we would gather people and we would inspire and we would have classes and workshops. But guess what? That was literally 9 days before everything shut down. So suddenly we're in this home where we were so excited. We were living our dreams. We were designing our life and everything shut down. No gathering was happening, no classes, no nothing. And so that was a little bit of a tricky point because we looked at each other and thought, okay, what are we doing? And that's actually when we wrote our book and our workbook. And so it was kind of funny because all of these things were happening and I could look at that and be like, what? This sucks, you know, and just be like so upset about it. But we were like, okay, so what's the pivot? Well, we are in this house. Everybody is quarantined and everybody's, you know, on lockdown. What can we do? So we wrote a book, we wrote a workbook, and we pivoted again, right? Yeah. So our lives are looking a lot different than I ever thought. We're still in this house. And honestly, I don't know how long we'll be here because still people, you know, the gathering and stuff, it's not exactly as I envisioned it, but it is kind of fun because we get to be resourceful and creative and say, okay, so what are our strengths? What do we have going for us right now? We still have the app. We still have, now we have the Design Your Life book and workbook. And so really it is kind of funny because I chuckle and I just think, no, doesn't look exactly like I imagined it, but I'm still finding the beauty. I'm still living my dreams, you know, and I'm still kind of creating it every day. And I feel like everybody gets to do that. You know, you get to look at what is good in your life and say, okay, let's work with that because that's the good that's happening. And then those things that are really hard, find the beauty in that part too, because the hard is always going to be there, right? It's just, that's just life. Yeah. But it really, it depends on how we look at it and what we can. I mean, I know it's so cliche to say make lemonade out of lemons, and sometimes you just want to be like, I don't want to. Yeah. And yet that is where we find the beauty in the messy. There's beauty in the mess. There's beauty in the, oops, I didn't see that one coming. I was blindsided by that, or that didn't turn out the way I wanted it. And just saying, okay, so how can we design this? How can we create this into something beautiful?
Yeah. So, and I knew this would happen, right? I would just segue, or I would try to segue into something different, but I wanted you to share that really quick piece about when you were 5 and you were coloring the Holly Hobby next to your mom, who your mom is creative. Yeah, was creative. And because you said something so beautiful in that. So can you just give us that snippet? And then I want to share something from the book. And since I have it in front of me, I'll share it. And this is, and I have to know really quickly before you talk about Holly Hobby, did writing this book with you check a box for Jeff? Because did it check a box because an author was one of his things.
Yep. It was. And it's funny because honestly, we didn't see that one coming either. We thought that would be later on down the road. And all of a sudden we were like, oh, it's here. It's right in front of us. Let's do this. And I wouldn't really say it checked a box, but it fulfilled a dream. And it's sometimes like I have to reframe things because to me, checking the box, I get in this mindset of, and I talk about it in the book where I don't even like to say I'm busy. Like to me, and I don't know how some people that's motivating, but for me, that turns things into a very robotic, like where's the joy type of thing. But when I frame things and I say, actually, this fills me up, because sometimes I'll think something will fill me up, and I realize that's not what I thought it would feel like at all, you know? And so again, it's kind of that we are the designers and we get to choose and say, you know what? Even though I thought this would check the box of what I've always wanted to do, it didn't feel the way that I thought it would.
Yeah.
And so I'll go back to the 5-year-old Rhonna,
Yeah. Yeah.
who was and it's so funny. I told this story to my mom and she was kind of like, I don't even remember that. And I think it's funny, some things that really imprint on your heart that stick with you for a long time, those are, like I talk about, those are the light fountain moments where all of a sudden, like everything comes together and it's imprinted on your soul. So I was 5 years old and I loved to color. I remember just like getting the crayons out, this little Rhonna who just loves to color. And I got this Holly Hobby book and this coloring book. And I asked my mom if she would color with me, and she's on one side of the page and I'm on the other side of the page, the double spread. And I'm with all my heart, I am just, trying to color in the lines and I'm really trying to do the best thing that I can. And when I lifted my head up and I looked at my mom's, I remember my heart just going, like it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen because I remember the colors. Not necessarily that it was, beautiful in the lines and everything, but she had used a color palette that still like makes my heart sing. And it was and it was in the 70s, mind you. So it was lime green and hot pink and orange and yellow. And just that color palette that she used stopped me in my tracks. And I remember looking at it and my heart sank because I looked at mine and I thought, this is not the same thing. Look at mine and then look at hers. And so I kind of expressed to her, how this is kind of sad. And she was so awesome because she was just like, no, you put your heart and soul into this. And then she took a little teaching moment and just said, I love what I see of yours. You love what I see of yours, of mine. And then she was able to show me in that moment how we were both elevated by each other's work. And kind of taught me in a little 5-year-old moment where don't let my work suck the joy out of your work. And that has stuck with me. So it wasn't just the color that breathed life into me, but it was also that lesson that she taught me. And she continues to teach that to me. She's an awesome creative person. She never got a degree. She never did, some of these things that, again, you would check your box. Yet she started her own business and she was an interior decorator because she recognized that was one of her gifts. So I love when we surround ourselves with inspiring women. I love that that's what this is all about, is inspiring women. And sometimes their background doesn't look like how you would think, this is what constitutes a successful businesswoman or an inspired creative woman. That's the beauty of it, is what did this inspiring woman create out of what she was given, right? Because sometimes we'll be like, I didn't get a degree, or I wasn't able to, like we were saying before, I don't have that support at home. Okay, so what can you create out of that? And I think that is what is inspiring to me, is hearing the stories of women and saying, wow, they took that and created that. And each of us has that in us. We all can do that. But it does help when we support each other and lift each other and really elevate what we're doing with our talents, right? Because really everybody has a talent. When I hear people say, oh, I don't have any talents, I'm like, that's a bunch of baloney. You do, you just get to find out what it is. Because some are seen and some are felt and some are created, right? But we all are given something. We're all magnificent beings that are filled with light on this earth to help each other.
Yeah. Do you not love her? Do you not love her? Like you see, if you didn't know of her before, now you see why. I just love her. But especially today in the age of social media, comparison being the thief of joy is a big underlying theme. We take everybody's, I know it's kind of that cliche of it's everybody's highlight reel. I don't like to use that term, but we do pick and choose what we love about people and and then we build this bionic woman.
Right.
that is like the all knowing, all beautiful, and we put ourselves up against that.
Yep.
And this is uh in the book you say, and this kind of goes back to what you had said earlier, but you said, I've chosen to look inside and be truly honest with myself and recognize that what success looked like in my life, not others.
Hmm.
And I think that that is such a powerful recognition, self recognition, because it is so easy to compare,
Yep.
especially when you're able to pick up your phone and instantly see all of these wonderful things that are happening
Right.
that
Right.
can, if you are not at your core reflecting upon the fact that you are the creator of your own life, right? And that
Mhm.
you are responsible for what happens.
Yep.
Um, it's very easy to get sucked down that vortex of comparison and and so I love that you address that as well. Um, what what would you say? Oh, we've kind of talked about what would you say has been your greatest reward, or something that you're just like, I did it. Do you have, there's probably a conglomeration of moments, but the greatest reward, is it seeing somebody design and share it? I mean, I know you share other people's designs on Instagram all the time. Is it seeing somebody use your tools? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Well, it's funny because going back to that first big goal that I had to have my own greeting card line, the first time I walked into Target and I saw one of my cards, I honestly thought, this is it. I have hit the pinnacle of everything. I had hit all my goals. I was so excited. And what I realized is, yes, that was awesome. And I'm so grateful. And I am forever grateful for that. But I thought that my dream was the greeting cards. And then as I kept doing these scary things and started to realize, okay, this is the scariest thing I've ever done, and I actually do it and accomplish something, or even not, even if I don't have anything to show for it, I did that scary thing. To me, that is probably the most fulfilling, is when I face those things, face the fears and face the challenges that I don't think I could ever overcome, and then overcoming it.
yeah. And I
Sometimes you have something to show for it,
Mhm.
like an app that was really scary, because honestly, I didn't know how to do an app. I mean, it was at the beginning, and I didn't even know how to find developers because I had this vision. And in fact, I'll tell you, I went to some developers and shared my vision, and they were just like, that is the worst idea ever. And it wasn't until I found the developer that I was like, you're a good fit. And he believed in me and I believed in him, and we built this together. And he's, behind the scenes and stuff. But there have been some scary things that I've done that nobody else knows. You don't see uh, uh, an end, a means to the end, but it's something that I overcame. And to me, that's exhilarating. That's exhilarating to jump off the cliff and just be like, I don't know how this is going to play out, but I am following my heart and I'm going to do this. And sometimes it looks a little bit messy, but you know what? You did it. And then the next time you have something that comes up that's really scary, you're like, if I did that scary thing back there, I can do it. And then I feel like that is how we can cheer each other on, because we believe in ourselves and we can say, you know what? I've done hard things. You can too.
Mhm.
And I really do. I am so fulfilled when I see other people create. But I've also learned, don't let that be my ceiling, right? Go for the next thing, go for something else. And it might look different. Some people say, oh, when I make that first million, or when I, walk into Target and see that first greeting card, it's like, okay, don't play small, keep playing big, because we're made to shine. We really are. And like it's the Marianne Williamson quote that I have loved for years, where when we play small, that doesn't do anyone any good. Once we step into our greatness, then we give permission to others to step into their greatness. And it's going to look different. And so that's why that whole comparison thing, that is a trap that really, for me, takes a lot of mindfulness. I'm going to get really vulnerable here. And I'm going to tell you, this morning I was in in fact, I cried to Jeff. I cried to my husband, and I was like, what am I even doing? Like, I don't even know if I'm too old now. I mean, I was seriously like in a really sad place. And then everything that you said to me, I was like, you just breathed life into me and reminded me again, stop with that comparison and stop with the I'm too old. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for 24 years, and I can easily say, in fact, this morning I was like, am I done? Am I washed up? And so just this interview is reminding me, no, I'm not done. I will always create. I don't know what it's going to look like, and I don't know what Rhonna Designs will evolve into, but I'm not going to stop. So thank you for everything you said, because I needed that this morning.
Well,
So
isn't it funny too? I completely abide by, you know, you have to tell people the greatness you believe they have.
yep.
And you don't wait. Life is too short. No minute. I mean, the next moment isn't promised. And I
Totally.
think it's so important because, again, as women, we are so quick to blame ourselves for whatever else is going on,
Yep.
for whatever we're feeling, for whatever anybody else is feeling. We wear 36 different hats all at
Mhm.
once.
Yep.
But the biggest thing is we have to remember we are still, so long as we're showing up,
Yes.
so long as we're showing up. I use this analogy all the time that with social media, it's like a dark auditorium, right? You don't remember who all has tickets to the show.
Right.
And there's going to be people that sneak in the very back door, and they're going to be in the dark, and they're going to be in the back, and you don't know they're even there watching. But you also don't know that exactly what you're doing at that moment is exactly what that person in the dark needed to hear or see.
Yep. That's
And so
great.
I will tell you that that is probably my go-to when I get to a point where I'm like, and what am I, is what I do even worth it? Do I matter? Am I relevant? Right?
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
definitely feel like in this day and age, your phone becomes irrelevant the moment you get it. Your
Right.
car, the moment you drive it off the lot, is no longer, it decreases in value. So
Right.
like every year that I get older, I'm becoming less relevant, but
Mhm.
that's here. And if
Yep.
you're not continuing, I believe in this firmly, if you are not continuing to grow and to learn, you've stopped living.
Exactly.
You've
Yep.
stopped living. And so the fact that you do continue to show up, and to me, you are so not too old. You are doing reels. I'm not even comfortable doing reels yet. And you are adorable doing them.
Okay.
And and again, I think that that comes with what I said in the beginning too. Like, you have this ability to find the humor in the things, the
We
good, the bad, the ugly, because isn't that line true? We
Yes.
have to laugh or we will bawl our eyes out.
Seriously. Yes. And I have made a goal. Actually, it's not even a goal. If I don't laugh every day, something's up. Because there was a period of my life where I wasn't laughing, and I recognize that for me, I have to laugh every day. And a lot of times it's at myself.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, sometimes if you throw yourself in front of the bus, nobody else can throw you in front of it first, So you may as well I'm going to put this on the table. I am not feeling my best today, but I am still here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, tell me, this is one of my favorite questions that I do in this interview, and there's a reason why I do it, but just rapid fire at me things that you love. And it can be, just give them to me. What do you love?
Laughing, color, crying, joy, dancing, creating, connecting. I love walks. I love talks. Boy, I'm starting to rhyme.
You are.
I love connecting with people online. Isn't that funny? I mean, that is one of my favorite things, is just to connect with people. That is probably one of my greatest joys, is connecting. Yeah.
Okay, that can't be it.
Oh man, this is good.
I
Okay,
mean, you have kids?
yes. Oh, I love laughing with my kids. They make me laugh. Um, I love I love being still too. I love quiet. I love like really visualizing. I'm a visual person, and I love to visualize every day what my day is going to look like, what my life's going to look like, what a conversation is going to look like. Visualization is a key thing for me. I love just being with friends. I love going out to eat. I love reading. I love music. I'm not a musical person, but I like, music is my jam. I love good music. It helps me get out of funks. I love sunshine. I love light. I'm learning to love snow. I'm an Arizona girl at heart, but I'm learning to love snow. I used to cry when it would snow, and my whole family's looking at me like, why? It's beautiful. But I was cold. So I love heat too, but I am learning to love snow. I love connecting with the extraordinary people around me, and I love finding what their extraordinariness is.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and seeing that in people. One of my gifts that I have learned is that I can see things in people that they can't, and then for me to verbalize that to them and say, I see this in you. And a lot of times people will look at me and be like, how did you see that? So I love saying what I see in people, because that's a way for me to connect.
Yeah. I okay, so I love that you said one of my gifts. The fact you can recognize that you have them, because you have many, but saying that out loud, one of my gifts is a very, very powerful statement.
It is.
It's a powerful statement, and I'm honored that you used it with us, because it's so powerful.
And isn't it funny? For many years, I shied away from that because I thought it was bragging. And I've learned that that's actually the opposite.
Isn't that true?
When we say, oh, this is my gift, and now I want to share this with you. And it's funny because sometimes when I say it to people, they'll kind of look at me like, oh. But then when I explain to them, when we share our gifts, they grow. And that's the other thing that I think is they diminish when we bury them. I really believe that. So when I say, this is one of my gifts, and I'm confident in it, because a gift elevates people, right? Elevates either yourself, not in vanity or bragging or pride, but elevating like, this is who I am. I can step into this and I can shine. And now when I do this for you or with you, then you get to shine.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we bury those gifts for too long, we lose such a sense of self.
Totally. And I did that. That's why I know what it felt like. And I squelched it down because I thought that was what made others comfortable. And I learned that that's not true.
What would you say is something you think women don't do enough of?
I think right now is, I don't think we cheer each other on enough, because for some reason, sometimes we feel like if someone else succeeded, that takes away from my success. And that's, we are in a point where we've got to reframe that and turn that around and say, actually, when you succeed, I succeed. Yeah. And I don't think that we do that enough with each other. I think there's a lot of fear. And when we live, that's another chapter in our book, is in abundance. That really is a growth and abundance mindset and a lifestyle. And when we embrace that and say, oh, yay for you, this is so exciting that this happened for you, and you genuinely feel it. That's the other thing too, is you can talk smack. I mean, you can say the words, but boy, you can feel it with others when they're not genuine, right? And we say these phrases like, live authentically and show up and all this stuff. And it's like, you can say that all you want, but unless you're really, truly coming from a place of abundance, yeah, it's not. I think sometimes we say make it or fake it till you make it, and a lot of people shut that down. But how about we reframe that and say, do it till you feel it, right? So like as you're doing it and you're like, okay, I feel it more and more and more, then we're enabling ourselves and others to actually show up in that authenticity.
Yeah. And oh, I agree with that. And my answer to that question, I don't think women spend enough time sitting with their thoughts,
Yes.
reflecting,
Yep.
reflecting on gratitude, being recognizing what they're thankful for and
Yes.
recognizing what they love. And that's why I love to ask that question, because when given the opportunity, you can rattle off, and you should be able to. And believe it or
Yep.
not, I had an interview with a woman who could not, she was tongue tied
Yeah.
over what she loved. And I said, this is the root. You need to get down to why you are so muted with the things you love. This should come easy.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
so good.
it's so obvious that if we can't even call attention to the things that we love or that bring us joy or that bring us happiness, oh my goodness, how can you get up and continue to grow? And so do you journal? Do you do gratitude journaling at all? Do you because I believe journaling is important, and a lot, I would say probably 90% of the women that I talk to journal in some form.
Yes. I like
And
that.
so there's a thread here. There's a you guys, and do you want to speak to that?
Okay. Well, number one, I love how you said a form of journaling. And I think that's key because for me, I've learned that in this different seasons of life, my forms of journaling have shifted.
Mhm.
And the danger that I have found is when I think it has to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, figure out what your form of journaling is right now. But in that form of journaling, identify your joys, identify what you love. Like you said, identify what makes you feel alive and then create that.
And
And I
or
think you're absolutely right. If you're not creating it, if you're not feeling it and recognizing it, you're not creating it, right?
or dump what's bothering you.
Yes.
Dump
Yes.
what dump the roadblock. Put
Yep.
it there so that
Yep.
it's not festering here.
Exactly.
But a recognition of your loves, a recognition of your joys, a recognition of your gratitude can go a really, really long way. A really
Amen. Yes.
um you in a lot of these answers, you've actually covered a couple of the questions, which is great because gosh, I could spend all day with you. Not that you want to spend it with me, but I could spend it with you.
I could too.
And so we are, we've got a couple minutes together left, but um what let's see. Are you a morning or a night planner?
Oh, that's a good one. For a long time, I thought I had to be a morning planner. That was the good way to do it. That was the right way to do it. And I learned I am a night owl. I'm good with deadlines. I'm good I've done so many all-nighters, but and at first I would kind of shame myself for that because I thought that's not how it's supposed to be. But I have learned that when I end my day, it could be 1 in the morning, it could be 3 in the morning. But when I end my day with a vision of what my tomorrow looks like, then when I wake up, I am fueled. But also, I know that people are opposite from that.
Mhm.
So I think, again, find your form of planning and creating. Night, some people might be like, it's in the middle of the day. Figure out what it is for you and then go with it. And don't think that it has to look like everybody else's. Figure out what works for you.
There's quite a few common threads here, right, in our conversation. I mean, about comparison and what we think journaling should look like and what
Right.
we think planning should look like. And I'm supposed to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have my whatever in the morning and get my lit. It looks you have to find what works for you. When you
Yep.
try to do what works for somebody else, you will fail
Yep.
because it's
Exactly.
not that's not your script. That's
Right.
not your system. That's not your way. That's not your words. And so, but what I love is that you still show there is time carved out, whether morning or night, for you to dump, to set your intentions,
Yep.
to
Exactly.
it's important.
It's
It's
so important.
It's important. And I'm also a night owl. And I like knowing exactly what my morning, at least by the
Yeah.
time the afternoon hits, let's be real. We've had to pivot 64 times,
Right,
but
exactly.
I can wake up in the morning and at least know the first three things that I need to do or get done, And so, um, all of this though it's threads that are woven together,
Right.
and we are all a lot alike.
Hmm.
But that's a choice. It's a choice to be, to strive, to find people that you look up to find women that you just are like, you know what? I don't need to be her. I don't want to be her, but she impacts me.
Yes. Yes.
She impacts me. If your family came home today, and your kids are gone, so this would be Jeff. Um, but if he came home today and said, Rhonna, everything is taken care of. You don't have a single thing that you need to do for the next 3 days, and I'm sending you anywhere in the world. Where would Rhonna say she's going, and what would she do with that time? And she's alone.
Okay, this is so funny because it totally has changed since, or shifted. It's shifted since I was a mom with young children. Now I used to crave the busyness, and now I crave the stillness.
Yeah.
And so I would go someplace like Bali, or I would go someplace that was tropical and I would just sit. I would be by the ocean. I would be my toes would be in the sand, and I'd be walking in the water, and I'd be listening, and I would just be just grounding and visualizing and centering. Like, if you would have told me I would have done, like 20 years ago, I'd be like, I don't have time for that. But now, if I had nothing else, I would read, I would listen to music, I would be in the ocean, in the sunshine. That sounds awesome to me.
Yeah. It's funny how it reverses, right? Because
Right.
when we're younger, we want to go to the craziest places on
Yeah.
earth. We want to be in the hustle and bustle of
Yes.
Times Square in New York
Yes.
City, and we want to
Right.
stay
And
up
I've
all
done
night.
that. Yeah.
And now I'm with you. Give me a shower outdoors in Bali by myself in the that still is
Totally.
something that we crave.
Right.
Because it's not something that we give ourselves often.
Yes.
And
Yep.
it's hard at home because
Mhm.
to me, there's always something that needs to be done. There's
Right.
always something that, I mean, so in order for my mind to actually escape, I have to leave my house.
Right.
I
Yep.
have to go somewhere where I am not faced with the laundry room and the dishes and
Exactly.
that I need that clearer headspace. Um,
Right.
but I love that you said that. I can relate to wanting and craving that stillness. Um, if you could be remembered, Rhonna, for one thing, what would that be?
That when people are with me, they leave feeling better about themselves. They feel like they can do anything. To me, I feel like that is one of my gifts too, is to just say, go live your dreams. You were meant to live your dreams. And I want people to, when I'm gone, I want people to be like, oh, I remember when Rhonna said I could do this, and then I did it. I love doing that with people.
Well, I think that you do that very well. Uh,
Good.
and I think that's a perfect way for you to be remembered. Tell everybody that is tuning in, where can they find you online? Where should they follow you? Where are you? Where do you what tell us, plug it.
Okay. Okay, so on Instagram, we are Rhonna Designs Official. And it's actually my daughter and I are the ones that do this together. She works with me, which is funny. I started Rhonna Designs when she was 1 month old. She's the daughter now that's in the book that was, she kind of is, it's been her life. So she's there. So, and then we are on Facebook as Rhonna Designs. We're on Pinterest, Rhonna Designs, and rhonnadesigns.com is our website. And that's where you can get on our VIP newsletter. And every month we send out free backgrounds for the app, and we just share our favorite things there.
And the coolest thing is you get those backgrounds, and when you go to download them and save them, they send them right over to the Rhonna app.
Yep.
It's beautiful and wonderful. And it's those little things that make us creators so happy.
Yes.
But then you also, of course,
Yep.
have and you guys, this workbook is amazing and beautiful. And I read a couple of the reviews that some people had put with regards to the workbook, and they said, I just can't get over the colors and how beautiful it is. And it is truly, I mean, and if you want to color, you can
Oh,
color.
yes.
And, but look how pretty like these spreads are. And when you love design and you love things in print, I'm still a paper person, even in a digital world.
Yes,
I want to
exactly.
feel and I want to smell and I want to touch and I want to color and I want to write.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but this truly is not just, I mean, it's beautiful and I wouldn't expect
Yes.
anything less. And the Design Your Life in Beautiful and Meaningful Ways book. And um, is there anything that you wish I would have asked you?
I think you are an awesome chatter, an interviewer, whatever. I think you brought the things out that I wanted to talk about. So I can't think of anything. You are awesome.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, no, thank you. Myself, on behalf of me, of course. My family knows how excited I've been about this, so I'm
Oh,
thanking you on behalf of them as well. But thank you. And to anybody that is tuned in, when you wake up on a morning like this morning and you question anything about Rhonna, I want you to know that you have those people standing in the dark that are your biggest fan club. You
man.
absolutely have people that love to see your face pop up in the stories, that love to see new content, that love to see what Rhonna's doing, the silly, the serious. That there is a large group of us out there that absolutely love who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much.
So thank you for
You're
this.
awesome.
You guys, until next time, thank you. And Rhonna, thank you.
Thanks.